There's a famous little story told about Jesus when he returned in his glory to heaven after his passion and death. And he was still carrying the wounds of his crucifixion and suffering. And one of the angels looked at him and said, "You must have suffered terribly down there. Does the world know what you did for it? Do they all understand how great your love is for them?" "No," Jesus responded, "not yet. Only a handful of people, my followers in Palestine, know about my divine love and works of salvation. I told my disciples, Peter, James, and John, and all the other disciples, to make it their business to share the good news. And these will tell others, who will still tell others, until the furthest person of the widest circle throughout the world will hear my story." At this, the angel seemed very perplexed. Well, he said, "But what if Peter, James, and John and the others forget? And what if, away down in the 21st century, your followers fail to share the story of your love for the world? What then? Haven't you made any backup plans?" To which Jesus responded, "No, I haven't. I haven't made any other plans. I am counting on them." Today, he is counting on us, all of us, you and me, all who have been baptized, to carry on telling the story, the good news story. And we don't need to be a priest or a sister to tell that good news story or to spread it. We don't have to have studied theology or scripture or done any studies in order to spread the good news. All we need is to believe in the person of Jesus Christ and have a relationship with him, to believe that he is indeed the Son of God, and that he came, and through his death and his resurrection, he brought new life to us, not only in this life, but for all eternity. And he came to tell us how unconditionally we are loved by God our Father, a God who is full of mercy and compassion, and who is waiting to run down the road to greet us. That's the very heart of the good news. And without that, all the rest comes tumbling down. All the other doctrines and teachings grow out of that core belief. That is the foundation, and we know what happens to a building that has no foundations. So every time we share that good news, we are spreading the joy of the gospel. However, talking is not the only way that we spread the good news. Actions speak louder than words. Jesus himself, by submitting to death on the cross, told us more about his unconditional love for us than words ever could. St. Francis once said to his brothers, "When you preach, you may sometimes have to use words." Love is at the very heart of the good news. So every time we act in just, loving, compassionate and forgiving ways, we are simultaneously living and preaching the gospel. The Scottish novelist Robert Louis Stevenson, who lived in the 19th century, remembered as a child being fascinated by the strange figure who each evening went along the street with his ladder, lighting the gas lamps. One time his mother, seeing him with his face pressed up against the window watching the lamplighter at work, asked him what it was that he found so interesting. And the little boy replied, "I'm looking at a man punching holes in the darkness." And that's what the good news does to our world. It punches holes in the darkness. And so do we when our actions are guided by gospel values.